Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the DNVR Rapids Podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Carroll, joined by my wonderful compatriot, downtown Duane Brown.
What's up, dude?
It's great to see you.
How's the soccer life?
Soccer life is fine. I'm glad we have club soccer back. International break, while I loved watching Poch, was not enough for me. I needed to be able to watch 4 different leagues in a day like a lunatic. We had the NWSL final and Champions and Europa's back and Prem's back and MLS playoffs is back and USL champions. Shout out to Colorado Springs for winning that. Pretty cool.
That was a fun game.
Pretty cool. I am in the western slope of Colorado in an undisclosed location, getting ready for the holidays. So I haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you, Duane.
It's busy, man. It's busy because there's good things happening at DNVR, especially if you are a shopper. Either for yourself or for somebody else. You've got holiday gifts. All of that Black Friday stuff is coming soon. And there is a lot of new stuff and big savings. So
some of the stuff I've seen is really cool. Eric came up with new college logos for every college team across the network and then some. And the varsity stuff, it's all super cool. So check that out on Friday, unless you're a member now.
Yeah,
if you're
diehard, you got early access. You can nab everything you need before it gets sold out. So good job, diehards. We're glad to have you, and this is one of your rewards, one of the perks for being on the team.
Well, let's get into the news of the day, Duane, because while there is a lot of stuff going on in the soccer world, today specifically was a big one for the Rapids. Announced end-of-year roster decisions. No real big surprises. Would you say there were any big surprises in this one to you, Duane? How about we run it down? Stop me if you find a surprise.
Yeah, no surprises. So I would say just run down and we can talk at them as we get them.
We're gonna dig into the exercised options. So the guys coming back in this first segment. Second segment, we'll get into the declined stuff, and then third segment, we're gonna do a little Cole Bassett love. So should be a good time. Options exercised. Guys coming back. Keegan Rosenberry. This was an automatic trigger from his contract. So he hit whatever benchmark was included in there that said you're back on the team no matter what. Not a crazy expensive deal. Probably more than you want to be paying for a slower paced outside back in his early 30s. But the leadership, the ball skills, the long throws, the dog. You need Keegan out there. So maybe not a perfect price, but he's back. So go from there. Oliver Larraz, exercised. Boom. Nate Jones, exercised. Boom. Calvin Harris, exercised. Boom. Declined options. Lalas Abubakar, expected, but a bummer, and we'll get into that. Seb Anderson, declined, also a bummer. Mikey Edwards, declined, also a bummer. Remy Cabral, Ethan Bandry. Jonathan Lewis, straight to free agency. So those are the options from today. Let's start with who's coming back, and we'll start with Keegan. Obviously, they didn't have a choice whether or not to exercise this option, but he is back. How are you feeling about one more year of Keegan, especially with some of the moves we've already made?
No, I mean, look, he's the captain of the squad. I'm great with that. He's Mr. Rapid. He's one of the veterans. He's, been with the team. I'm not sure who's longest on the squad now, but it's probably him.
It is.
So look, this is a squad with a lot of young talent, and a lot of guys coming in. I expect more new guys coming in. You need someone who's been around, who knows the culture, who knows Rapids vibes, who has that leadership component to help along not only the younger players, but also all of the new players that came in both this year and are going to be coming in. So I like it. Another year with Keegan is great.
Yeah, look, I mean, he is. You said it best with almost your first point, was he's Mr. Rapid. Like, sorry, like no one else has assumed that mantle. No one will assume that mantle until he is gone. I don't want anyone else besides Keegan to be the captain right now. I think he is absolutely perfect for the position he's in. He is losing some pace, right? And mm-hmm. Losing Bombi really exacerbated that because they were the right-sided partners there. He's an MLS All-Star starter, by the way. Didn't include that. So hopefully if they're sticking with the back four, you need to find someone fast enough to kind of cover that, right, and let him work his way up. If you're going with that 3-4-3 that they ended the season with, or the 3-4-2-1, or however you want to describe it, Keegan as a right-sided center back on a back three makes a ton of sense to me. Like a ton. Sure. I actually really hope that's the direction they're going.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I can add.
Sure,
that's what you just said. It's
Keegan's great.
This is the obvious sign, and they knew it when they put in that clause to bring him in. So it's whether he's coming in, like Crash is saying in the chat. We got depth. If he wants to come in at center back and fill in, or at right back, that's fine. We got young guys who are going to be, jumping at the bit, trying to get into this squad, and trying to get playing time. And maybe that helps because
right.
you get Keegan more rest days, and that's a great thing. So, this is the one. I mean, there's another one too, but this is like just the biggest no-brainer on there.
Sure.
Tied for no-brainer, which I'm sure will be coming up next.
Yeah, obviously Keegan has competition with Reggie Cannon coming in. 3 more seasons under contract. He signed a 3 and change deal. Started in September. He's faster. He's probably better offensively. Probably not as good with the ball at his feet, but can get himself into the spaces Keegan can't. There's going to be competition there, right? And Keegan's going to have to win that competition. So, to me, it's a no-brainer, like you said. Glad he's back, and let's move on. Next, I'm going to let you cook on this one, Oliver Larraz.
I just don't know anybody on the squad who has earned it more than Ollie Larraz has. Superstar season at R2, and then he comes in and we're all happy for him. We're like, yeah, man, I hope Ollie gets some minutes this season.
Right.
It's kind of how it went. And then Ronan goes down with the injury. With questions at the 6, it's let's get creative and create that double pivot. Let's lock Ollie back with Cole. And all Ollie did was completely help change the formation that the Colorado Rapids ran for the whole season. Because of his skill there, other things that we saw from Ollie was just that, we keep talking about him being a homegrown and being one of the kids that grew up, but like Ollie's a grown ass man. Like he's big, and like he plays the body as well as anybody. He's done a great job all season, both on the ball and off the ball. This is the other one, obviously, just the closed book on this one. Yes, you have to keep Ollie Larraz. You cannot let another squad get him. So it's a no-brainer. Really happy to see that. I'm glad that he'll be with the squad for a while now. And we get to see him keep playing, whatever that looks like next year, because there may be some formation changes. Who knows? But if anybody has shown that he's flexible and can jump into a situation and make it happen, it's Ali Larraz.
Right. Yeah, look, he's a dog. He was not even in my radar when we were talking preseason and talking about what we wanted to expect out of this Arma system. Shout out to our guy Wanners who said in our chat, there's receipts, go find it. He said 1,000 minutes, and he ended up playing almost 2,100 minutes, played in all games this season. He scored the only playoff goal for the team. He is an absolute dog, and you got to lock down a contract extension. Like that to me, that is like, obviously you need to fill the holes, you need some center backs, whatever, but high on that priority list is extend Oliver Larraz as long as he is willing to sign a contract for 10-year contract, 15-year contract, whole career, lock it in. I wouldn't be a great agent. So
the players would love you. So by all means.
This is also your guy. Calvin Harris is back. I think he had like a sneaky, like probably top 4 offensive season for the team, top 5 offense, from that forward group, right? Like obviously Hoffa had a great year. Cabral, when he played, when he didn't have a broken elbow, played very well. But he was tied for 5th in assists and he was 5th alone in goals scored for the club. He's been he was a target for Porg for a long time. He went and got him, and this comes as no surprise. He is one of Porg's guys. He fits his game model that Porg loves to talk about. He has the speed, he has the positional versatility, he has the ball skills. That left foot is lethal, as we saw it at certain moments this season. So I know you're very happy to have him back. I am very happy to have him back. He's to me, he's an ideal rotational wing to fill in weeknights, cup games, whatever. So the floor is yours for your boy Calvin Harris.
No, I mean, dude, I could not be happier to see his name show up on that list. When we did our roundtable, that came out last week on the website, feel free to check that out. He was one of the guys that came up for all 3 of us to talk about. And for me, it was, you have to keep Calvin Harris. He brings the speed up on the side. He's an ankle breaker. He gets into position. He's not the top level threat that we want at winger. And that's not against, Calvin Harris at all. It's just that we have a whole season of data now to prove that. And really that's all of our wingers, right? Like we don't know what our wingers are yet. And I think that hopefully the club will bring in another winger or 2. But you're playing in a brand new tournament, plus Leagues Cup, plus the regular season. We saw what that did to the Rapids this year, and depth is going to be key. If Calvin Harris is a depth piece or a bench piece, then you're freaking welcome. Like,
right,
cool,
right.
Good for you that you have freaking Calvin Harris coming off your bench, and not like just some guy that we picked up,
right.
Because like we needed to fill in a spot. Like that's an awesome piece to have. And when there is rotation happening, if you have to start Calvin Harris, great, you're welcome. You get Calvin Harris that you get to start. So it's a good situation either way, whether it's a depth piece or when he's needed to start. I do think as the language barrier continues to erode with Hoffa, I do expect that Cabral and Harris are going to have a much stronger connection with Hoffa. And I think those wingers are going to be a stronger connection with him, and you're going to see more goals because of it. It's
absolutely,
it's still young in that relationship, for them all to work together. So I think it's going to happen. And like Keegan, like if Harris doesn't have to play every game, then, like is being said in the comments with James here, you're right. Like everybody ran out of gas at the end. But again, this is why depth matters. And being able to have quality depth like a Calvin Harris is just, it's awesome.
Interesting. I was going through everybody's FBRF profiles today and MLS stats and digging into past stats and everything. Harris, played less games than I thought. He was in the low 20s. I think, when you were rotating in Lewis and O'Meara and Cabral was healthy and you started Cole sometimes at wing, you started Yappy sometimes at wing, you started Georgie sometimes on the wing. He kind of didn't, I think it took them too long to realize that some of those were a waste of time and Harris should be a locked in rotation spot. You'd love to see that closer to 30, just as, probably 5-ish starts and a bunch of appearances, right?
For sure.
And so, he's obviously a piece they like. He's a piece they identified. I know they wanted him in the draft. He went one pick ahead. They got, Mayaka instead, and eventually they landed him. And it's exciting to have him back. Last option exercised. Nate Jones.
This was the surprise for me.
Okay, cool. Let me
you're a big Nate Jones guy. So tell us.
I'm a big Nate Jones guy. One, because Rapids people have talked me into him probably a little more than I should give. I should probably take him with a grain of salt. But he's a 6'4" center back. Plays with his left foot. He's fast. He's big. Those don't grow on trees, right? That is not a profile you just find a lot. He played, they got him in the draft. He played with Vermont Green. I think they're USL 2. He's played some professional, some lower stuff. He played no minutes this year with the first team. Played a lot with R2. I think he played just under 2,000 minutes. He led the team in clearances for R2. He just is a profile that makes sense to bring him back for one more year at the price it will cost them. Right, like he costs less than $100K. He costs I think he costs $80K a year, which is to have a guy like him that you see the upside in, right? Because that's what we're doing with this option here. Is you're forecasting by the end of the year he can be what Michael Edwards was, right? Which is the option guy when someone's hurt, or you want 3 at the back to close out a game, or whatever that is, or someone needs a rest on a Wednesday because you have a big game on Saturday. You hope that Nate Jones can kind of step in and do what he needs to. Is it going to happen? Who knows? He hasn't impacted the first team literally for a second yet. So this is 100% an upside play, 100% a prospect play. But I like it, and especially in MLS where you're already kind of at a disadvantage for recruiting top level talent across the soccer world. It's when you have a guy like this in house, keep him for cheap. That's kind of where I landed.
For sure. I was surprised that we didn't see Nate Jones play with the first team this year.
Me too.
We got some real positive messaging in preseason. In some of those preseason matchups where Nate Jones had to fill in, because Vines wasn't ready yet. He was still trying to get back into the country and everything else. So he slid out to left back during some of that preseason work.
Right.
And the info that we got was, holy crap, Nate Jones is smashing it at left back, and we weren't expecting that. So I was really hoping to see him play this year with the first team. Of course he played with R2, but I was really, expecting to see him. So, hey, maybe they knew they were going to keep him anyway. So they wanted to see what they had in the starters, knowing that, roster decisions were coming up. I'm certainly not going to question this decision, because there is a player that we just talked about that didn't play starting minutes the year before. And he blew it up this year, and his name's Ollie Larraz. So,
that is, I don't expect him to have the top end of Oliver Larraz. I doubt he hits 2,000 minutes in an MLS season, maybe ever. But if he can play 1,000 minutes, if he can play 800 minutes and they're impactful minutes, It'll be he's just an interesting wrinkle, man. Like, just
the
wild card of having him available based 100% on his height and his preferred foot of choice. That's like, just that alone makes me want to pay the minimal salary. So we'll see how that goes. All right. On the other side, we are going to talk about the options that are declined, talk through those guys. It's going to be a lot of Lalas talk, I'm assuming, but we'll get into the rest of everybody there as well. But now we got to talk about our friends at Toyota. God, I love Toyota. Love Toyota. Perfect for Colorado. Whether you're driving one of their trucks that have been built for generations, dependable legends, destined for greatness. Perfect for driving through these mountains. Whether you're going some off-road trails or you are hauling your family through the mountains the night before a huge snowstorm so you don't get stuck in the travel chaos. That's just the car you need. It's perfect. You can fill up a new 2024 Tacoma, the 2024 Land Cruiser. They have 17 models with all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the Epic 4Runner. They also offer more low and zero-emission vehicles combined than any other automaker. And you can give customers all sorts of choices if they want to reduce their carbon footprint. You want to go small? Get a small little hybrid. You want to go big? Get the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. It's a massive truck, and you're going green. How about that? Thank you, Toyota, for that. You can also get perfect city-size SUVs. I have a Highlander. You can get the Grand Highlander. You can get a RAV4. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe in Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of the Colorado Rapids and the official vehicle of DNVR. We are also brought to you by our friends at Empire Today. 1-888-2300 Empire Today. Look, we love Empire. They built the floors in our studio. They've built floors in countless homes across the country. You get to shop at home conveniently with the right product for your needs. Quick and professional installation and a price match guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats, but Empire cannot be beat on quality, service, and speed. They promise that they're not going to promise lowest prices. They're not going to do that because they're not going to put cheap floors in your homes. They're going to give you the best products that you can put into your house. You take a picture, use the virtual floor designer, swipe through floors, find the right one. They curated this list. You know how many flooring options there are? It's like how many grains of sand are on a beach. There's so many flooring options. They're everywhere. But Empire brings you the best ones and lets you choose for yourself. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details. All right, y'all. We're back. DNVR Rapids live Wednesday afternoon. End of year roster decision day. The chat is going. The Toyota chat. Shout out B-Ray, James, Crash. I saw Alyssa in there. Saw Queen T, a new addition to the chat. And even Duane is in the chat. Look at that. Hi, Duane.
Had to respond to a Bills chat there.
Of course. All right. Declined options today. We'll start with the biggest name on the list and probably the no surprises our friend B-Ray said there. It is Lalas Abubakar. You know, he was locked in at $650K next year. Not great. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money just in general for the MLS. And it's a lot of money when you just saw half a season of him not being able to keep up with MLS attackers like he used to. On top of that, he wasn't putting in the headers and the crazy sliding foot shots for goals. That it was his trademark, right? He was a clutch guy on set pieces, and that sort of fell off. He is a no doubter fan favorite. This guy is beloved in Commerce City. He's beloved in the stands. You see more jerseys of his than everyone else. And it's hard not to love him. Became an American citizen this year. The team celebrated with him. Absolute top class human being, and it sucks. It's one of those ones that sucks that it's the right move, Duane. This is where it gets hard because the Rapids made the right call here, but it sucks. It's hard. We love Lalas. Where are you at with this one?
Yeah, it sucks, but it's expected, right? For all the reasons you said. I mean, Lalas is a guy, kids love him. Kids super love Lalas. You know, he's got the wild hair, you know, when he's running around. You know, he's a big dude. He's one of those guys that always interacts with fans. Heavy hitter on the unified team.
That is another huge part of the community piece.
Yeah, he's been with the unified team longer than anybody on the squad. You know, like Cole's up there too, but he went away for a bit to Europe. So and Lalas was here during that time. So he's been with the unified team longer than any of the current roster guys. I mean, he wears the badge, you know, on the pitch and off the pitch. He is 100% Burgundy boy forever. Just all over, you know. So it's always tough when you see one of your favorites go.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. You know, it was for me last year. How do I watch a whole season of the Rapids without Jack Price?
You had the best term for this, priceless Rapids.
Yeah. How do I watch priceless Rapids for a whole season? You know, and I think about Jack Price, and I hope he's doing well, and you know. And getting to play back home still, and it's, you know, but look, man, the world moves on, soccer moves on, and you can't hitch your entire wagon to just one player, to one horse, right? And so, if Lalas goes, I think a lot of fans are going to be really sad, and there's going to be a Lalas-sized hole in all of our Rapids hearts for a while. The good news is I don't know what the market is out there for Lalas.
Right.
So there's a chance maybe he comes back, you know, and they renegotiate that and make it in a way where he gets to stay. He doesn't have to pack up and move to a new place. And the Rapids, you know, get to do it at a number that makes more sense for the club so that they can continue to build and build around. And again, like with Calvin Harris, man, what a bummer. We have to go to the bench where there is Lalas Abubakar.
Yeah, one of the nicest,
well-rested.
Coolest. Yeah, like he's perfect. You're right. Look, he's going to need to take a significant discount, right? Like he's going to take us. I mean, $350. As our guy James here just pointed out, $350, call it a day. $350 is like pretty much what Keegan was making last year. I mean, that's like he probably needs to come in closer to $200. Honestly, like I think that is. I'm expecting like a defensive overhaul, right? Like they're bringing in starters. They're bringing guys to either push or take starting spots on that back line, and that costs money. Right? They're not going to tie up money. Like, you know, Lalas is going to go re-entry. Or if he wants, he doesn't have to. He can decline out of re-entry because he's a free agent, but he can participate. So my guess is he does round one because of that option price, right? If he can make that money, right? If someone says, I'll take that option, I expect him to jump in to that part. He probably won't go to phase two, which is just rights, right? MLS rights. He'll probably opt out of that, but he'll see if someone wants to pick up that $650K. It's going to have to be a lot cheaper, right? Like it just, you know, it's kind of what B-Ray just said in the chat. Shout out to B-Ray. He says, why bring back Lalas as a backup when you have others to see what they are? You're right. Like guys like Nate Jones, Michael Edwards, draft picks coming up. in this draft, which the Rapids love to find guys in the draft. So I don't expect him back. It is sad. I hope it works out so he does come back at the appropriate cost for the production, but it is tough. So shout out to our guy Lalas. That's where I'm going to end that. Right. Shout out to our guy Lalas. Always a Burgundy boy. Also declined, but negotiating Sebastian Anderson. This one, he is a homegrown and he has played he's not up there on the appearances list like Cole is, but he's been playing since 2019 for this club as a homegrown outside back. The problem for him is that the names at outside back ahead of him, Vines, Cannon, Rosenberry, Jackson Travis, who I thought earned every backup minute he can get this season. And then who knows what happens in draft and free agency and trades, right? Like it's just, and more homegrown academy kids coming up and whatever that is. So he was cheap in terms of how much he was making. He was not one of the most expensive. He was one of the cheaper contracts on the roster. But this gives him a chance to get picked up at that option number somewhere else or negotiate with someone else through reentry or just get into free agency and find somewhere that's willing to play him, right? Seb is a good player. I would say that's probably his ceiling is good, right? Contributor, but not starter. But maybe he could be, right? USL is perfect, right? Like great call, B-Ray, right? Couldn't you see him going to a switchbacks, which he has, I believe he's played at switchbacks. I could be mixing up my Rapids loanies to the USL, but he could go down there. He could catch on with maybe San Diego wants a young outside back to kind of have in the mix for their first season. Who knows? Duane, how do you feel about Seb not being picked up as an option?
I really needed to wait for this list to come out because I really didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't, because he's a homegrown. I didn't know what the Rapids were going to do. Now that we know, I know that they're saying they're going to renegotiate or whatever. I don't expect to see Seb coming back. And here's why.
Me neither.
We've had sorry, my brain was just like I'm thinking of too many people at the same time. So we've had Brian come in, we've had Pord come in, and the message that gets sent a lot, especially with the young players, is they're always going to look to do what's best, not only for the club, but what's best for the player. I think the club knows that what's best for Seb is probably not sitting on the bench with Colorado Rapids.
Right.
Because of the depth chart, because of the folks in front of him, it's going to be hard for him to get consistent minutes. He'll get minutes because of how many games we're playing with extra tournaments and the season and everything. But when you look at a club who looks especially at their homegrowns as how do we repay them by getting them into the best position to succeed in their career, that doesn't mean like minutes every now and then.
Right.
And I think they know, I think Seb knows the best thing for him is to catch on with another club. I mean, look at Markinich,
totally.
He left, went to St. Louis, who did nothing short of break every first team record ever. And so when you mentioned San Diego, that made me think of him,
right?
Or Markanic, however I've never learned to say his name, so probably good that he's moved on to a team with podcasts who can actually pronounce his last name better. But maybe it's the same thing with San Diego, like you're saying for Seb.
I believe it was his brother who scored like 20 goals in US. It was like the leading goal scorer in USL, 24 goals this year.
Yeah, this year. Yep.
So like both of them are actually good examples for what Seb could do, right? Yep. He could go be a USL baller. He could go and find another opportunity and succeed there. He's good enough to succeed in the MLS. I just don't think it's going to happen here. Moving on. Big effing Michael Edwards. Kind of a bummer. He's a guy that, I think he's only played about 200 MLS minutes with the Rapids. He's played for switchbacks and he played under 19 Bundesliga. but he hasn't really played a lot of minutes outside of those 2 years in his career. He's kind of just rode the pine, and that is it's probably why this is a decline, right? He just hasn't seen the field. You don't totally know. If he wants to go back to USL or he wants to try his luck across the league, whatever, that's what you have to do. So keep that going. I like Edwards, but I just don't think I just think you're going to go ahead and find a different center back, right? Yep, Nate Jones and Chacon, like B-Ray said. So that's the move. So any thoughts on Big F and Michael Edwards, Duane?
Again, you look at the names ahead of him and it gets hard to slot in minutes, and then if I'm Michael Edwards or if I'm any pro soccer player, like, you want to play. You don't want to watch your buddies on your squad play while you sit on the sideline and watch them. You want minutes, that's part of being an athlete, and part of being a pro athlete is that you want to play the game. So if it's a situation where, like Seb, he finds a spot where he actually gets to be the guy, then I'm super happy for him. He became a little bit of an urban legend, I don't know if that's really folklore legend.
No, I know what you mean.
With the squad this year and taking, the name on Twitter of, Big F and Michael Edwards, and it's just, he has a little bit of that love from the fans. So that's kind of a bummer because he was really catching fire with the fans. But again, human beings, and you want what's best for the human being. And these are all dudes that you just want to be successful. Hopefully that's what the Rapids, but if it's not, I don't want him sitting on the bench. I want him to go play.
That backheel goal he had for his first MLS goal was
very cool.
Hype. Shout out to him. Hopefully he gets to score more of those somewhere. Probably won't be here. Although they are in discussions with all these guys. The ones they did not say they are in discussions with, which we can just go ahead and assume these guys will not be back. Remy Cabral, Kevin's brother, my dream of the Cabral minutes together is dead. He is probably not an MLS player, unfortunately. But he had 8 goal contributions in USL play. He added another goal in Open Cup, I believe. He for Phoenix Rising this year when he was there on loan. Best of luck, Remy. The Cabral guys are awesome, but there's just not room for you on the roster. So best of luck. Ethan Bandry, he was brought in to be the third keeper this year because of how much U.S. Youth National Team minutes Adam Beaudry gets. You need to have another keeper on the first team to play or to be available in case something bad happens to Zach Steffen and needs to come out. And when Beaudry was gone with the U20s or the U23s or wherever he was, you just need someone there. That was his purpose. They'll find another person to do that eventually, but it's not going to be Bandry. So
yeah, and they've got another one in the academy coming up.
Yeah, Campagnolo is a stud.
And so again, Rapids do a good job with homegrowns, and so you've got one more coming up through that's ready. So
totally
keep it in house when your goalkeepers are good.
Jonathan Lewis, straight free agent. He's not going through re-entry. He's not going to anything. He's just out of contract, so he's a free agent. I think it is pretty well known on this podcast that we don't want to watch Jonathan Lewis play soccer anymore. Here, he is, 10th all time for the Rapids in goals scored. Now that's not an esteemed list by any measure. This team, this roster, this club has not scored a lot of goals, but he has scored a lot of goals in Burgundy. Thank you for your contributions. 2021 was fun. You were the super sub, and now you are probably gone. Now, if he looks around and there's no contracts to be had, I imagine he would like to come back for a much reduced fee. He was around $400K. Sure. But just him and Lalas, that's you just saved $1 million in payroll. I can't scream that enough from the rooftops. $1 million in payroll, that's a bunch. So good on them for good on us for saving that money. Us as in the royal, the royal us, Rapids, Twitter, all of us. But yeah, see you later. Hopefully. Never, actually. Sorry, did I say later? Meant never. On the other side, we are going to talk about Cole Bassett, our homegrown star boy. But first, we just have a little housekeeping to do, and that housekeeping is for DNVR events, because we have some good ones, dang it, and I want to tell you all about them. In my non-PIDS life, that is my gig here at DNVR and at ALLCITY Network as a whole. Pretty proud of what we're doing here. We have this is our new thing we're doing here. Duane helped us put these together and launch it, is the Top Shelf events. And we have a Top Shelf DNVR Nuggets Suite Takeover. What does that mean? Well, party bus from the bar to Ball Arena, hanging out in a suite with the DNVR Nuggets fellas, DNVR merch included in that, food and drink in the suite. And then party bus back, you get to hang out for post-game, meet the guys, hang out in the DNVR bar and have a good time. You also have tickets up top if you just want to do the party bus and the game ticket and back. And still get to hang with everyone. You're just not in the suite hanging out. So plenty of options for you. That is December 27th against first place in the East Cavs. Should be a pretty good game. Get to see Donovan Mitchell, the Nugget that should have been and wasn't because of draft night shenanigans. But I won't get into that here. We also have a free tailgate this weekend for the final Buffs home game of the year against Oklahoma State on Benson Field. There's going to be coffee, donuts, beer, music, hangs, the DNVR Buffs guys. So go hang out and say what's up. We also have Monday night football, and that means we have a Monday afternoon tailgate. Duane, I'm so excited for the Broncos tailgate on Monday.
Dude, that's
going to be a good time.
Good one.
It's going to be a blast. So
really good one.
We have so much fun. There was almost 200 people at the last one. So come to this one. The Broncos are good. The Browns are bad. It's going to be a blast. Come hang out with us. You get to meet Todd. You get to meet Todd Davis. You get to meet Todd Davis, Super Bowl champ. No Sean Moreno.
That is the coolest.
He's so cool.
No Sean Moreno uses a
Terrell
mouse
Casey.
with his phone.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're missing out. You're missing out.
You're missing out if you're not going. So come say what's up. We do a ton of cool giveaways. I think we have a Broncos onesie we're giving away. We do a bunch of cool giveaways. So come hang out with us. All of that is available at thednvr.com/events. Oh, okay, we are back. DNVR Rapids back on for me, it was a beautiful sunny day here in Southwest Colorado. It's snowing now for me. Just within this podcast, but Mitch and Duane holding it down, talking end of your roster decisions. So if you're just joining us, listen to the rest of the show and then go back and hear the discussion about that. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Also, a quick shout out for me and Duane here. We are on Blue Sky. Come check us out over on Blue Sky. It's just our names, Duane Brown, Mitchell Carroll. I know a lot of Rapids Twitter has migrated to Burgundy Sky, and let's keep that going. You can find, I put up a piece today about the roster decisions. I've linked our shows. I've linked our roundtables. I linked Chris Armas' story. Everything is on there. So go follow us, say what's up, keep that interaction going. So, but Duane, we have someone to talk about. His name is Cole Bassett. He is homegrown legend. And you made just the chef's kiss graphic. Let's highlight some of the stuff he did this year and then get into how much we truly love him. The stat that meant most to me, to myself, was without a doubt 1. The number is 1. And that 1 is a game-winning penalties in Rocky Mountain Cups. Cup-winning penalties in Rocky Mountain Cups. And that's what Cole had in July. What a moment, right? It was his first penalty for the Rapids. Georgie was with the Olympic team. You needed someone to step up and make it happen. And the Colorado kid who had the winning goal at RSL in the first game, had the keeper off the line, 50-yard goal in the second game, comes through in the third game. What a moment. Duane, we love Cole Bassett here. Where do you want to start with that?
I'll start with my favorite number, and then we'll go through all of them. How's that sound?
Perfect.
You chose the 1. That's an excellent
Correct.
choice. I'm gonna go on the opposite end of the spectrum and choose the largest number, which is 219.3, which is the number of miles that Cole Bassett ran this year, and he missed like a quarter of the season. So that's 5th in MLS for miles, for miles run in the season. But the dude missed a quarter of the season.
He would have led the league.
Still finished. Oh, by far. But just, it's incredible. Like, just pro soccer players in general, especially the ones in the midfield who are playing box to box and really, putting in the work effort. But when you see a guy like Cole Bassett, it doesn't matter where the Apple TV camera goes, he's always on screen. It just, the dude is always there. His work rate is phenomenal. He's clutch in a game like you mentioned against the horrible team from the other side of the Rocky Mountains. When you need a hero who grew up as a child rooting against that horrible team from the other side of the Rocky Mountains, he gets to be the hero. Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Like,
it is
incredible.
He was a piece of that 21 team, right? He wasn't the piece, but he was a piece, and he was making contributions. And he gets rewarded by going overseas, which, he deserved. I think he still deserves. I don't expect Cole Bassett to finish his career. I don't know. In the MLS, I don't know if I expect him to finish this contract in the MLS. But that being said, he came back last year to a horrible environment. This was not a good footballing environment last year. And all he did was put up a career high in goals. All he did was take on leadership role after leadership role. He talked to the media after games where you couldn't pay me to talk to us, right? Like, if I was when the comms guys go around to find someone to do post game, I would be like, you're paying me cash if you want me to do this, because that's the only way I'm going to talk about this game we just did. But he did over and over and over, and he took the bullets and he grew a bunch. And we were sitting here saying, is Cole going to be the captain of his team? Is he going to be Mr. Rapid? And I mean, betting line for next Mr. Rapid, Cole's pretty low odds. You're not going to make a ton of money betting him, but it's probably a pretty safe bet, right? So, and then what did he do this year? Oh, career high in goals and assists. On pace to have more distance covered than any player in the league. I am an awards voter. He got the only Rapids vote besides the community impact, which I voted Stefan for. I put him on my best 11. It's a role that is not glorified enough in MLS and in soccer in general, right? The guy that's not going to put up the counting stats, the guy that's going to cover ground, that's going to mix things up, that's going to get the ball from the back to the front and let the front do the thing. And if I show up in time to score a goal, great. But he gave up the I need to be the 10. He gave up the I need to score. And he grew into a role that he didn't even know he would be good at. He doesn't think of himself as a 6 to 8. Doesn't think of himself as a guy in a pivot. All he thinks about is, I'm a 10, I'm going to score goals. And all he did was put up the best season he's ever had, ever. It was a joy to watch him play this year, and it was a bummer it ended like it did with the injury. But, man, I'm so glad that he's back, and I'm so glad he's grown into the player that he is, because you need guys like that. You need the Rapids to produce academy talent. You need guys to come through the system, and you need guys to make an impact. And I can't think of anyone better as an example than him, right? Oliver Larraz is hot on his tracks, but Cole is doing it, right? He is the homegrown guy that we need. So let's go through the rest of these stats, Duane. Career highs, 9 goals, 7 assists. Great. He this year set the record for homegrown appearances, that's cool to me. I mean, to me, that might be the coolest thing we we got from him. He's now at 127 Rapids appearances, most by a homegrown all time. 47th. He's at 47 goal contributions, which puts him 6th all time on the Rapids list. It's a tough list to climb. I think if he has a slightly better season than he had last time, he'll only move up to 5th. The top is pretty, it's stretched out from the bulk of the list. So, but he is on pace to be maybe the best Rapid of all time. Possibly, an absolute Rushmore figure for this club. What else can we say about him, Duane? I mean, I feel like I just did a soliloquy on him, but
yeah. I mean, the thing is, for me, like the Cole Bassett moment, even though he's been with the club for so long, the Cole Bassett moment for me was last year in the final third of the season, when things were just rock bottom. This team is historic, on pace to be historic crappy. Supporters walked out in the middle of a game. It got a lot of attention. It's just things were very bad. And like you said, one person showed up to post-game pressers and he took it on the chin every time. And he took personal responsibility for it. He knew and was very upfront saying, this is not what we want to be. And you'll hear that from a lot of players in all kinds of sports, not just soccer. So, this isn't who we are and blah, blah, blah. And most of it's bullcrap, it is. And it's just, hey, man, you're in front of the camera. Someone has to do it. You drew the short straw. The difference with Cole is that it's that homegrown, right? It's that he was a kid sitting in the same seats that we sit at every Saturday, watching his team play. Like he knows how much it hurts to have to watch a crummy team from the fan perspective, because in addition to being a Rapids player, and a Rapids player that people will remember for way longer than he's here, is that he started out as a fan like the rest of us, and that is what puts Cole at a different level than just some guy getting up and talking about the state of the club. Not only that, but just him taking it on the chin and taking responsibility and giving fans acknowledgement that things were crummy. To me, that was the defining moment for Cole. From there, he's turned into Cole from this year, which is a guy that's running more than all but 4 players in the MLS in only 3/4 of a season. That's how hard he works. He's putting up career highs in goals and assists. He's with the club for more games than any other homegrown. People on the national stage, when they talk about MLS and they talk about the Rapids, they know who Cole Bassett is. That sounds weird, but as a Rapids fan, we all know that sometimes you're surprised if it's not during a Rapids game and there's national people talking about MLS and someone mentions the name of a Rapid. It's kind of jarring in a good way. Totally. Cole Bassett is on the minds of people who talk about MLS. It's been nothing but, aside from that first half of last year, 2023, it's been nothing but awesome since he's come back.
Totally.
And he did it from a leadership perspective first, because he wasn't getting it done as a player. And then after he set that stage and just said, this is who I am, this is who Cole Bassett is, and this is what it means for me to wear burgundy and wear the badge, it turned into his play this year. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what more you could want from a MLS homegrown than Cole Bassett. Like,
There's nothing.
Lucky to have that dude.
Yeah, I mean he's one of the flag bearers for the MLS homegrown program, for MLS academies. I think he breaks it. I hope he can continue to grow and break his way into Pochettino's national team. He's done well when he's gotten the chances in these camps, but he's a gem. He's a gem, and we're lucky to have him. We are going to take a super quick, super short break for the audio, and we will be right back. Okay, we're back. DNVR Rapids. We just talked about Cole Bassett. Last week we did Georgi Mihailovic. Next week, Duane, should we tell him or should we keep it a mystery?
I'm not sure if we're thinking of the same player, so maybe it's a mystery.
Let's keep it a mystery.
Okay.
But we have 3 more of these segments. By then, the window will be open. There'll be draft picks. There'll be incomings, and we can then wax poetic about those guys. But this one's going to get us there. So keep an eye out on Twitter and Blue Sky for those graphics that Duane makes. They're gorgeous. They're perfect. Duane, I left us a little extra time here for plugs because there's a lot of plugs this week. So if you are a DNVR, if you're in our DNVR world, which if you're not by now, become a diehard. I'm sure we'll have a Black Friday discount. If you want to become a member, you can catch a lot of my writing on there. You can catch all the Nuggets guys right now, all the Avs guys. They do a ton of video breakdowns. Adam Larraz does The List, which is like one of the coolest recurring things in basketball media, and that's behind that paywall. So become a diehard, especially if you want to become a diehard right now. You get first dibs on Black Friday deals, which we go crazy with. It is the cheapest time to get our merch. Rapids merch will be on sale. Duane is wearing, our hat, but he's also wearing the best shirt of all time ever made in the history of DNVR merch. Up the effing pids. All that will be on sale. So become a member. There's huge discounts coming up. I mean, stuff up to 75% off.
Diehards really got the bonus for this week, with it being Black Friday week, because they got access to it starting Monday. It's Wednesday now, and that sale will start to open up for everybody else who's not a diehard. If you are not, everything that Mitch just said about those discounts, up to 75% off some of the stuff in the shop. If you have a loved one who loves the Pids, you've got 3 different shirt options to get in there and get them something awesome for the holidays, or get yourself something because it's cool.
That's what I'm doing. I
will be shopping for myself because there's a couple of new hoodies across the network that are awesome. So
totally.
There's some really good new products coming out too. If you haven't seen those yet, jump in the store, man. There's some really, really cool stuff. And that's at store.allcitynetwork.com. And if you've got friends who don't live in Denver, but they are friends of Chicago's teams, Phoenix's teams, Philly's teams, Dallas teams, and then there's a lot of colleges that we have started to open up as well. It's the perfect time to get your shopping done. Or started if you haven't started yet.
I have not.
Most people haven't. I have, because my wife's very good about, here's the list of things that I want so that you don't screw it up.
You're responsible. So. Follow us. I mentioned that we're on Blue Sky now. Please follow us. The show account is on there as well. I need to be better about posting on there, but I've definitely posted a lot of stuff on my account on there. Duane has posted as well. I'm trying to it's tough to break this Twitter habit. I've been on Twitter since 2010. It's tough. It's tough to break the posting habit and get over there, but I am trying for the Blue Skyers out there. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm sure you have, but if not, what are you doing? Like, subscribe, help us get those numbers up over here on the YouTubes. More important than all that, And it feels good today. This felt good. This feels like off-season talk. I'm back, baby. This is fun. This is good stuff. And the way we're going to end it, as always, up the effing.
We all silly like the mayor.